Hey, let's try that button and see if that works now. Hey guys, was not expecting to stream tonight, but I decided that I need to sit down and do some testing here because if you haven't been listening to me on Discord for the last few days, or last 2 days I should say, I'm having to rebuild my computer again. The good news is the culprit is sitting here on the desk in front of me with a good old Republic of Gamers heatsink still stuck to it for what good it did it. The NVMe drive that I put in my system that I picked up really cheap off of Amazon, let's just say don't get a Kingston 1TB SSD or NVMe drive. It's a lot cheaper than the Samsungs, and probably for a very good reason, because it seems to be crap. I suspect that has been the culprit behind a lot of the overheating problems and the random lockups I've been having. Because I said I would get rid of it, tried to clone the drive back over to the old SSD so I could keep the OS that I at least had gotten back up and running. And it did the exact same corruption again on the OS. So, we're going to have to, I'm kind of picking up back from scratch here, which means that everything I've got on the computer at this point, I can see I'm already peeking out the microphone, everything needs to be refigured out. So why not spend a little time in-game with the other thing that was horribly broken on Monday, and see if we can kind of figure out what I'm going to do to fix that world, if I can, and if not, I'll be playing around and just do some design testing, basically. If I do the design testing, there will be a little bit of potential spoilers for the PvP match, the PvP match, I should say. That will be coming up tomorrow night again over on Wasted Space channel, and also hello, Mr. Squid too. But I will give you guys heads up if that actually is the case, so that way if you are on the other teams, you can kind of back off the video before you start seeing things that you shouldn't. We're going to start off in Space Engineers today, and we're going to try, unfortunately, wow, I can already tell that's going to be a pain in the butt. All of my volumes are so far off here. I've done a little bit of cleaning, and unfortunately I did sit down and I pulled back a really old copy of The World back from around this time frame, and it is still broken. So we're just going to have to, unfortunately, go back to that, and I can tell that volume needs adjusting as well. Holy moly. Yeah, you haven't missed too much World Test 5. I have, I kind of explained where I am currently and why tonight things are potentially going to be a bit screwed up all over the place. The good news is, having had to rebuild this thing once already in the last 40 days, everything I need is in relatively a short trip away to find, like all of the, say, like the Windows 10 reinstall disk and all of the downloaded software and the updated drivers. So I'm back up and running a little quicker than last time, at least, but sans one NVMe drive, so long, good riddance at this point. Hopefully, I would have to say I'm doing much better. I mean, I can't complain at this point. Everything's back up and running, and I need to see if I can tab out here and get... This 10 has this little glitch that if you tab out and you go over to another program to try to pull up something off the taskbar, like close Discord or pull up your motherboard monitoring utilities, that it won't let you do it unless you've got another application full screen on the window. So I missed the loading and background that's going on there. And part of what I'm doing, aside from everything else that's going on, is I'm also trying to keep an eye and to just test the system a little bit before the upcoming PvP match, because, yeah, I need to know whether this thing is going to cause me grief during the stream or not. And at this point, it's not looking too bad. I mean, the CPU is not doing too bad. GPU is willing to bet that's probably through the roof at this point. The ASUS utilities don't give me an actual sight on that, unfortunately. But this is the wow. We've gone back to glitchy lights again, Keen, huh? All right, what options did I miss here? There is a display option I had to fix the last time this occurred because the this is way back when Wasted had just started up the multiplayer servers for Armco, and it had something to do with the shadow quality. I think I had to knock that down to medium, if I'm right, because that was causing. It's still just as bad. The last time I had this world loaded up, the shadows were nowhere near this bad. Maybe the ground textures. So already right away I'm having problems again. This is going to be a great stream, isn't it? Try to keep the salt down. Go overboard on it. And now we're going to reload. See, some of the flickering light is just good old Keen, but actually it's stabilized a little bit, but I'm still seeing a little bit of... If you kind of look, unfortunately the best way to reveal this is actually probably outside through the giant gaping hole that used to be the entrance to this base. Thank you, Keen. One other thing that I also need to check as well. It's a little more noticeable when you're up on the surface. That is looking okay. What I should be seeing is kind of like a weird yellow, like a red, green, blue flickering quality to the shadow there, if it's the same problem, but maybe I'm just being overly sensitive because I'm having to redo everything here. It's entirely possible. Yeah, go ahead and reload. Let's also keep my sim stats on the screen. Alright. So far that's feeling pretty good. I think the simulation's holding up. Oh, but I've got to redo everything, huh? Every little annoying... This tunnel was about 2-3 months worth of effort, and now I've got to go in and completely redo it. You know what? It sucks, but maybe that is actually for the best, because now I might be able to do this right. There's one other thing I have to check, though, before I do anything here. The funny thing is I went back into the world file, and last time I was playing this, I was also having the problems trying to save the map, so to speak. It just would not let me get away with even doing a basic save. And normally, the error message that is popping up when that happens is one that is saying, oh, you know, it's the little plug that basically says, hey, you've got too many voxel deformations in the world, and it's done a little trick where it's screwed up the file names and everything. That appears with the latest update that they did to not be the issue anymore. Myself, because this is going to be even smaller of an opening if I stick with this. It seems like Keen, when they did that multiplayer patch, and they had the message that would display saying, "Oh, we've got to correct your file settings. Basically, we're switching over to new file formats a little quicker, but that first time it's going to take a little while." Whatever they did as part of that seems to have, at the very least, done away with what I would normally expect to see, which is the ridiculously long references to the file names, which is a good thing. Keen have really actually gotten rid of that. Then kudos to them. Unfortunately, now it seems that there might be a new save button problem, which is the one where it was basically telling me on Monday that no, I can't save the file. You're out of memory on a 32 gig system with more than enough processing power behind it. You know, we're talking about 6 cores running at 5 gigahertz a shot. I really hope that I'm not running out of resources on that. Let's be honest here. This tunnel has been... Let's kind of go into some of the ideas, because this tunnel was originally born out of the idea of way back long ago on this world of doing the underground wrecked city. And this was the back. This was supposed to be the back entrance. Right? It's supposed to be a shuttle bay that you know, you fly a shuttle down into and then come out here. And I had all these grand designs of, you know, filming stuff coming down. I think there's a video on my channel too, where I shot some of the animation here. And you know, you fly down really sharp and come down a little lit tunnel, and then you'd emerge into this big giant city. And well, there's 2 problems with the setup they've got here. First off, the cut over here between flying vertically and horizontally, very hard to make without slowing way down. Second problem is the tunnel. This tunnel was just too darn tight, so you'd come out of that side and you would basically bounce down this tunnel. Now, look at this, I'm making this even tighter. So, I think my ideas of having that nice dramatic fly through are probably going out the window. But, you know, the compromise that you have to do with these sorts of things, and in the long run, it's probably going to work better. Because now I can do something where one of the things you couldn't do before is you couldn't actually walk out there, out to here. I've got some other ideas, because this is about the level that a bunch of scaffolding come out. The funny thing is that we've still got the catwalk corners on here. What I would really like to do is I didn't have this the first time around. I'm gonna find my favorite catwalk. And that's not to say that those catwalks are not bad, but UOH, I love what he or she have done with the mod, because look at this. That is a half block. It's a half block catwalk. You can't find that in... That's weird. Do that, which you won't let me do. Okay. You are taxing my patience today. You've got the tip, you know, your bottom block, you've got a mid block, and then you've got all of these pieces that, I mean, here's one's, you know, between the half block and whole block. So, acting very darn cool. Huh. And then the other neat thing is you've got all of these angled pieces. So, okay, I need a cat. Wow, this is being really idiotically picky about latching on here. I'm wondering if somehow the grid has survived and it's just not rendering for whatever reason. I mean, it's letting me place there, but... Because that over here would be hangar doors at this point. They're still here. Try putting on low and bumping all the other things to higher, medium, drops of view range stuff, which I found helps. Well, I mean, I'm not doing too bad right now. Honestly, this is the better... Keeping in mind that I've chopped about a good 2/3 of the grids down here by losing this entire entryway, apparently. It's not doing too bad. I'm getting a solid 1.0 sim speed, server simulation CPU load 37%. I mean, really, at this point, I'm still getting 61 FPS, and that's just more because I'm trying to stream at the same time I'm doing this. Also picking up a lot of noise off of sound card. And I can barely even hear the music as a result. Game, could we have a chat here about your audio levels? Good grief. I want to keep some of the sound on, but holy moly, it is blasting out the setup here. Bear with me, guys. Like I said at the start of the stream, there are going to be some things that I have to get adjusted here. And this is definitely one of them that should be a bit better. Because, of course, you know, the one thing that's not very easy to save across reinstalling an OS are the actual volume levels of all of the cards. That should be a bit better. Now you guys hopefully aren't getting blasted out and you can actually hear me speak. I have to turn up the music a little bit too. You'll have to let me know if the music's drowning me out too. Please do. I mean, I really do need you know, the help going into this, because I really would like to have everything fixed for tomorrow's PvP stream. I built this. I never did put in a way to get down to the ground, and I wouldn't mind correcting that. And as I said, there's a lot of beautiful blocks that they've put into this mod pack with all these little slopes, and there's a you know, a transition point basically for that angle, transition point for these angles. There's a lot of nice, you know, alternatives to just having to plop stuff everywhere basically with these particular catwalks, and it's kind of annoying when, you know, you get someone like Tex and no fault to Tex. It's kind of like, you know, hey guys, can we do something with you know, with these other blocks? And kind of like, no, I like the ones we got. It's like, like these have a little special something. And well, actually, let me give you a little demonstration here. It is a half slope, and I should be able. Let's view. Perfect. This kind of setup, it's not possible with any of the other catwalk mods I've used. So now I've got something where I have a catwalk that I can sit here and come up this way on. I don't have to have this silly little narrow path that's absolutely locked in its position. And then up top, you know, I'm not locked out of doing other things along those lines, like here. Upside, there we go. Have to remember, I don't have to worry about that today out, because I'm in actual survival. I can place blocks. I'm so used to having to be working in survival at this point from the PvP match, then unco-op. Now the one downside to UOH is there aren't anything with you know, the railings on it, so you do kind of have to go outside to other mods. But you know what? I do kind of like that. In all honesty, I respect that a little more, because you've got the railings don't look bad, but I'd really rather just place something on there, which in fact we should do is possibly carry that over. What was that block? Remember, I've got so many blocks in here. Some of these I can't use because if I try to play, I know from a couple months ago, if I try to place any of the sectant stuff, it is going to just, it's just going to die. Grab that, because I was using this as at one point, but that is an accent block down this way. I do like how that block looks. The small grid variant doesn't tend to work quite as well, but it gives it a nice, lovely little lit look without necessarily needing it to be lit. There is the last bridge. Someone has a wall in here, and I'm trying to remember who it is, and it's the one I'm using for here that I used over on the platform here. That's the same block. The only thing I don't like is the fact that we don't have... It needs to be a bit more colorable. Catwalk rail signal. Type right here. Random Feral stream is random. Oh yeah, absolutely. I don't have much really planned for tonight, aside from trying to get this entryway put back in because I really want to get this project moving somewhere. And waiting around for Keen to figure out what the heck they have done this time. Pretty interesting. I know you're not in that top grid. I can see you from here, but you're not letting me place on that. It is about the level of where the catwalk grids are. Keen, how bugged out are you at this point? Because this is making me a little suspicious. So let me place that. Ladies and gentlemen, tonight, Space Engineers is doing its darndest to be completely and utterly trash. Wow. Okay, what I'm going to have to do then is cross the streams here and go with something a little wonky. I don't know how this is going to work actually, if it will. Do not want to treat that as a surface I can place it on. Yo, H, you're losing me here, man. Love your catwalks. I do, but if they're gonna start behaving like this, then it's a little bit of a problem, and at that point I kind of have to do some. The fact that I've got to do something like this is a little awkward, but just kind of, yeah, you're not gonna replace that. But I can do that, haha, and work around the placement problem. So I like a catwalk mod that you can actually place in and so preview shape for that. Something you can place in and you can do the railing separately, or you can place blocks on top of it, like on the trade surplus. You'll note that in the little medical room at the bottom of the station, I put in the catwalks upside down. They're actually upside down, so that way I could place, Colt's command consoles on there and make it look a bit more interesting. I guess this isn't too bad. It's kind of a layered look almost. Probably can't really see it very well on the stream, but maybe I will. If I do, actually, I should be fine. These out. So it's actually good news if Keen has fixed the bug that I was expecting to be dealing with tonight, which was the file save bug, because that one has been a continual pest on this world, where, with all the voxel digging that I've done here, it just was not liking any of it. And there's been more than a few times I've had to go into the file and manipulate the various file references to actually get the world to save properly. Which is really annoying when it happens and you're 3 hours into a build and around hour 2.5, that's when the game decides to stop saving. Yeah, that was more than some lost time there from that. So now that I've got this, I guess the next thing I'm really kind of looking at is continuing. I guess this will give me a nice kind of suit. You'll let me. The heck is going on here, Keen? You'll. What the. Wow. There is something hardcore going wrong here. This should... Huh. That's one heck of a block placement glitch. I wouldn't mind it if I could kind of use it, but what I want to do is kind of band it out along this direction, but the game is clearly not letting me have any of that. Not even, wow, not even consistently there. Or is that the, no, that's the row that's one off, isn't it? Oh, I don't even know how I managed to pull that off there, but great. did. Okay. Now I know what's going on. The original grid is still here. There is no way that you can tell me that, yeah, the original grid's got to still be here. There must be something in there, and because I removed the block that was there, chances are I'm willing to bet I've got something over in these areas here. Oh, okay. Well, now we are just potentially absolutely fecked, aren't we? Because can't exactly at this. I can't do anything with this section here, because if I rip it out, I'm going to be ripping out the original section. In fact, there's probably chunks of it already missing. If I leave it here, at some point, the grids are going to reestablish, hopefully, and then the whole thing is going to go kaboom. Yikes. That is, huh. I'm just going to back away slowly. And something to work on the other. Yeah. That's it. We'll find something to work on over here. Actually, here's something I can work on over here, because this was supposed to, way back in the other version of this world, be a bit of a whole idea that this is a wrecked control tower, complete with the daring jump off of the cliff edge here to retrieve the MacGuffin from up in here. And you know, it's kind of, it was in the ceiling, it got blasted loose, it's hanging on by, you know, just the barest of threads here. This anchor is completely undone. By anchor, I mean oxygen tank. That one's undone. I threw a, this is the only reason I even have this mod on this world, is because of this piece here. The mod itself doesn't work, but the piece looks cool. We need to kind of undo that, and honestly, I want to get rid of this whole dang thing because it is ugly. We'll build something a little better. Problem is it's it's permanently welded there. In order to do this, I'm going to have to break out the box of tools. Now, you have also remapped all the keys, which is not helping. I do not want to box snap to the grid. That's just crazy talk. And let's swipe through there. Do it. Not quite. It's pretty darn close. Should be able to just... Yes, I can just do that. Okay. That was the big question, is if I could actually safely get that out of the way. So yeah, the whole idea was that was supposed to be the control tower, and this is actually supposed to be the main entrance here, which has been very roughly blasted apart, and actually does have a an exit to the outside world over here with... way back in the day, these trees were not actually here, so that's brand new. Thank you, Keen, your random tree map. There's just lots of little things that keep me salty about the game. Shouldn't really be a problem. So I'm kind of thinking, now that I don't have to depend on plot for anything here, kind of thinking, go along the lines of... Oh yeah, Clang is already very much present on... You'd like to... Shift click. Would you like to do it? Please, game. Don't know. Here's something for anyone from Keen who might be watching. Why is it that if I can place a grid here, the behavior of shift drag isn't consistent all the time? So if you hit it just wrong, like when I was over here, I can't shift drag from here. I have to be looking at the face to make that shift drag work. Otherwise, it's just like, yeah, whatever. I will, even if I'm like behind the voxel, the way this block works out, there is definitely a grid there, and I can't drag it. It would be nice if that were a little more consistent. I mean, especially because the grid's there. There's really not much of an excuse to not be honoring that. I am going to apologize to all of the underground terraformers and voxel head experts, because this whole structure on this side is, yeah, it was not... I did not really think this one through when I started building it. Let's just leave it at that. I should really put the no... I've got the mod for taking off the edges on the armor blocks. What was I just saying? Inconsistencies in shift drag behavior? Be nice. Oh, and T's turn itself back on too. Thank you, Keen. I guess the file for keeping that is not kept in the app data folder. Keep track of what worlds you have turned on and off the voxels on. Yeah, Space Engineers is just one of those games. It's like you get into it and then inevitably there's an update that comes out and it just kind of turns you right back off of the game. And I'm certainly not alone in that regards. I'm certainly racking up the time in the game now, but definitely Keen have managed to do things which has just completely turned me off from wanting to pick up the game before in the past. And kept me out of it for the better part of 2 years, actually. So, I mean, the good news is you know, as much as I continue to throw salt at them, they're managing to do some things right finally. And, you know, you gotta kind of take it for what it is. This whole wall is... Digging this out, keep in mind, this entire cavern was dug out back when using a voxel tool underground was the better part of suicide. Because I could go down, you know, half the length of this cavern and the game could not render the fact that the voxels have been removed. So it is definitely not ideal that the edges like this. But we do what we can, and it's a very small imperfection. If the game will let me actually place blocks properly. He says, throwing salt back at Keen. There's definitely been improvements, and I mean the fact that I'm running this right now at a sim speed of 1.0, and just this end of the map alone would usually be enough to drag me down to like 0.7, 0.6 before. That shift click bug is starting to get on my nerves just a wee bit. Not gonna lie, it is. Given that a little bit more definition around the edge, I want to put... So this whole thing was kind of designed to look a little bit like it was blasted loose, and there's a whole other section of the hall that it was shorn off. And then the route that you had to do to get up there, which actually is... jumpable, in case anyone is... Let's make sure. There we go. Yep. The problems of switching back and forth between Minecraft and Space Engineer so often is getting your running keys mixed up. So I want to work on getting this control tower in place. And kind of wipe the palette, so to speak. Do something interesting, but different if I can. What do I have on my block playlist today? Bring in the armor ramps because I'm thinking of using those for supports. Retractable stairs would be interesting. I tend to use those as actually, let me show you guys what I did with them down here. I like finding the the stuff that you can do with some of the blocks and mods, and finding neat ways to use them. One of them is this over here. These are retractable stair blocks in here. That's not like a custom block or texture. I've got the retractable stairs. You can kind of see just a little bit of drop in the ceiling as we go here. I should actually be able to... Did they fix the alignment with that? There used to be a point where the everything is bugged out and you could kind of sink through those blocks, but not anymore, it seems. I can pull the spectator camera up here. So that's all this is that's the stair block right there, and I just had it pump out a little further. What is this over here? I guess I tried to put a cargo ramp somewhere there. But the texture of that, when you have that block deployed, looks pretty cool. Alright, let's... So I kind of want to continue with that texture. What else do we have? That ceiling, I don't really have... See, some of these I've got to be careful with because, like, for instance, graded floor, you can see that's got a texture bug. It's a nice looking floor, but unless I want it as purple, no. And I actually did, on the old version of this world, actually use those over on this bridge here. And I had to eventually take them out because it looked great in the dark, but once I started lighting everything up, it was very plainly clear to see that those blocks are bugged out. So, fortunately, they're out. The other problem is I never tend to get rid of mods anyways because, well, you use it now, it might get fixed later. Conveyor, the cargo tunnels are pretty nice to have. There's another setting I've got to change. Steam, can we please not be notified about everything anyone in the world is doing? Because it would just be really nice. I like my friends and everything, but I don't really need to see what everyone is doing. I don't need a notification. I've taken a screenshot. Oh boy. There's so many oddball settings that you have to do with this thing. I'll have to track that one down later because it's one of those things that isn't plainly clear right off the bat. Bunk beds I'm not too worried about because that's sort of taken care of by oh, whew. For a second there I was worried when it didn't render in the blocks here. I'm like, don't tell me it took out more of this. This is supposed to be sort of like the dormitory area, and eventually someday I might actually go back through here and take out the rock and just put in some rooms on there. But for now, it works as kind of the way it's set up. Especially because that's supposed to be hydroponics up there, and more offices and whatnot there. So this kind of mirrors... Actually, I guess that does kind of mirror that side there. Looking for... Actually place this. D-class power cell. Don't remember which mod that was from. Looks like I can place it. It's got kind of a neat little, yeah, I could kind of see something like... Oh, that's a shame. The textures don't quite line up here, unfortunately. I was kind of thinking this would make a decent looking wall, but, I mean, that works. That texture there could be used as a floor. Works on both sides, but... It's the case of I just need to line up the right texture here. That work. Ooh, yep, that works. It works, but this stripe is off from that stripe for some reason. And I suspect we're gonna, yeah, the same problem down here. The textures over here it's nice tall, and over there it's not quite as nice. But I could still use this not as a vertical wall feature, but as a horizontal. Did that. I will actually keep that one on the pallet. And see what else we can get here. Oh, I still have the holographic radar mod in here. You know what? Let me do something real quick. The reason why this is on here, again, like I said, I like to inevitably pick mods that I'm using them for stuff that you would not normally use, and that would be that. Let's see what that does to the sim speed. I liked having the effect of a revolving radar dish like that. And part of the problem is the reason I had to take it off is at one point just having that block in there was guaranteed to drop the sim speed to 0.4 on this world. This is back when you were having a good day. If you loaded in, you got 0.6, 0.7. So we're catching up there. That's nice to actually see that that's working and not really causing too much lag, especially with the fact that it's animated. I don't have to put in, I don't have to try to deal with a rotor or, you know, design it into it. It's a nice light block that, given a proper base, it works. And it's also got the reflections there too, so it's gonna, when it's dark out, it looks really impressive. When you get the various lights, like the green reactor lighting going up into it. Really do need to figure out blocks to put under there as well, but for now that will do. Okay, so I can hang in there and keep that in. Passageways I don't want to deal with just yet. I mean, those will kind of be more for going out into the rock here, because there's a lot of what I'm doing for greebling on the sides here that's just going to be suggesting that there are places to go. Like, you know, for instance, there's that path away from the reactor over there, hinting that, well, maybe that's like a fuel loading setup for it. There's this whole setup up here, which suggests that there's more stuff in here, which I really need to fix the lighting offset on those blocks, because they are definitely not right. There's the hotel there, which suggests there's something behind there, but there's not, or the dormitories. This is all facade work up in here. There's a very basic sort of setup over here, suggesting that there's potentially something more behind that door. A lot of craft work going in here to make things look more impressive, but without actually wasting the resources, or worse, getting out more voxels and causing things to slow down even more. I've got all the signs on here. I've never actually really used any of the signs or these particular letter mods. That one. Oh, yes, the fancy one. The kind of fancy one. Considering, unfortunately, it's the old model seat, basically, but with a much better... It's kind of ironic, it's just got the good graphics on it, though. I could kind of see that working as a controller station, so we'll keep that in. I mean, at some point, maybe someone will go back in on the mod and update the chair so it kind of fits with the new look, but... what else we got? Armories, interior walls, 1,000,001 doors. Cryopods don't really fit the purpose I'm looking for. And God knows I love Cult, but need something different. It would be really nice if someone else could come out with some additional, you know, console mods like this, just to inject some new life into it, because it, you know, it looks good, but when you've seen it for the 20th time, it's like, okay, yep, it's there, we've got it, great. Yeah, it's definitely not the right design for Edition or anything, but it does look absolutely fantastic. That's the azimuth conveyors. That's what I was using on the red ship, which I think is going to be called the Red Dot. I think that's the one I'm going to be going with. some retractable wings, but I can't really see them doing too much. A 3x1 door. What's that? Oh, right. You're on a grid that probably doesn't have any power. Yeah, there is no power on that grid. So actually, if anything, I guess what I'm looking for is just kicking right off with what I'm going to do for this setup. The amusing thing is, because of I'm doing this, I think I can kind of wrap this around. We kind of build it so it looks like it's... Because I can't really do an airlock on this side of things. Just kind of build the support around it a little bit. And come back up to here. It's going to be a bit of a wonky angle because of how I'm doing this, but it should work. Bring that up anymore, or do I want to just... that's too... Oh, that's the one I need. Plane parts. Plate armor block. Because that is going to give me this. And I want that more than I want all those annoying little panel lines. I mean, the fun thing about these armor ramps is you can really get all manner of crazy with some of this stuff like this. I could do a two wide column support actually, and have it come out to a point if I wanted to. I'm gonna be a bit more on the traditional side here. Give it a slightly steeper rake. That and let's kind of stick with that. Reason is because I can do that. So now I've got something that is tying the structure back into the ceiling there, or into the wall. Let's see if... Aha! Perfect. This will work perfectly. Get some nice chunky looking supports here. Then it's just a case of figuring out how I want to balance everything off of that now. Ooh. Do is try give me a bit more of a almost an arch-like look, I think. I'm getting an idea here. I've actually, while I'm at it, let's think about lighting too, because if I can do that as we go, the better. The ceiling lights fit that spot perfectly. I could put spots in there, regular spots, but I don't think it's going to work quite so well. Think about that for a second, guys. We'll be right back. Alright, sorry about that, guys. Had to step away for just a second there. So, we've left off with things there. No, I definitely do not want to do a rotor door off of this. Oh, dear God, no. I mean, I could. It's just I've got the supports under here. If I drop this down a little, I could hide the supports going into the door frame a bit more, but no, this really isn't designed to be something that's going to be closed off. I mean, that side down there had hanger doors on it to kind of take care of blocking access there, but it's a big wide open area that cargo ships like this are expected to be going out through. It'd be... I mean, if it were like a military port or something, yeah, I probably would consider it, but the other problem I'm also seeing is here. Let's fix this real quick. And actually give you guys a light so you can actually see what I'm doing too. Wouldn't that be nice instead of just groping in the dark here? That and yeah. Smooth. Oh, dang you, Keen. This is why I don't like these armor panels or the edges on the default armor in the game. No, I don't need that kind of effect. Means I'm gonna lose the lights, but all things considered, a smoother curve is probably going to work a bit better. And then what I can do is run that from there or not. Yeah, we'll do that, because that can let me start building out the actual platform here. That's why I love armor, the plane, or plane parts. Plane parts, aerodynamics. I can never keep the two, separate in my mind. It drives me nuts because every time I want to upload something to the workshop, it's like, am I using armor? Am I using plane parts? Or am I using the aerodynamics mod on this one or not? I can't remember what I test fluid under. I'll just say both and we'll go through it that way. So that gives me a little bit of a start to part of the building. It's just to keep things consistent. Really does kind of... I was about ready to say it really does kind of look like it could hold a door off of that, but what I'm really kind of thinking right now is I need a warm fire in there and stockings hung from the mantle here. It's starting to feel a little bit like that. And let's... Oh, where's the centerpiece of the center of the door here? I'll work this out while I can. Center of the door, right there. Because, like I said, I would like... Oh, I dropped an armor block. Whatever shall I do? Oh, I was kind of aiming for Control X, but sure, game, whatever. He really needs to stop layering, valid controls on top of other valid controls. I know there's only so many characters on the keyboard, but it seems like every week there's something that I'm trying to use, like Control X, and it's like, okay, and now your jetpack is on. Great, game. Thanks for doing that. Didn't really need that to happen, but sure. Trick is, this is, do what I think you do. Power, right, yeah. Let's actually... Lower block on that side. That doesn't look too bad. It gets a little bit of a quarter to it. bottom. Yeah, it's a fireplace. I'm building a mantle. I'm gonna have stockings hung by the chimney with care, in the hopes that St. Clangus will soon not be there. I don't even know what the heck these things are. They say power cells, but they clearly only have got solar cells and some unknown plate material. Okay. Sure. Whatever. I suspect the game is starting to break down here. Look at that. Unknown components 5. Unknown plate. Okay. It's probably just an incomplete block from a mod. But it looks good there is the problem. Which also means that at some point when that mod gets updated and probably finished, it's probably going to look pretty bad. Because the texture of the block will change or something. Let's get the ceilings in place. I think I've got these. I've got them the right way up. Also means I need to think about putting batteries on this thing so I can want to do this. How's it? Chintzy as all heck. Nothing. It's really going to come back through there. Worry about figuring out what is going to go that way at a later point. Is this thing even... Yeah, they are batteries, but... not very powerful. Well, okay, they're not having to put out much power. I guess they must, pop right. There we go. Okay, that... On one hand, I could see this working if this were a balcony, and I was building the room lower down. Trouble is, I don't see that really working with the supports I've got here. I mean, it looks like it has this feel of something that's going to, for instance, if I can just continue this a little longer here. I probably should, so I know what I'm building around for frame. Something like so. So it'll come out quite a ways first. Then what I'll do is I'll start to bring it up. So if anything, this needs to be reversed. It needs to be the other way around. It's okay. I can I fix. Not that way. There we go. So that's the problem I have with these blocks, is there's no visual indication of which way they actually go. So it's always kind of a bit of a guess as to what they do. But it's creative mode. I can live with that. Yeah, that's fitting this much better. That fits the whole idea of there's a ceiling, there's a, you know, something that projects along this line out here. That almost... I know it doesn't fit exactly because this is going up 2 versus up 1, but it's not that far off. This actually work. Let's hope that I got these placed right. How can you not like that for a ceiling? Oh yeah, these and the light bridges, they work pretty decently Up to a point. Let me see if there's another spot on the builds here that I've actually used these, and they're down here. So I used them in here to basically act like a stairwell, and what I did is I stopped the block, or I cut power to it, you know, basically while I was in the middle of deploying, and... Oh, they fixed it. Oh, this has been fixed. This used to, when I walked through here, would just glitch me out to about here, and I'd be kind of hung in midair. But that has very clearly been fixed now. Ooh. Does that mean that over here then need to have... Problem I have over here, I had a light bridge over here, and you can also see I've used did I take that block out? Yeah, I just put the azimuths in there. No, actually no, there's a light bridge here. This is another kind of retractable bridge that you can have, but the problem is this one apparently still has a sink problem on it, so you can walk across this, but you're going to appear like you're sticking halfway through it like this. So something with the collision block, the collision box, when it is being rendered like that, is very definitely messed up for that. But knowing that those bridges are working better, like that. I mean, unfortunately, it's the case of I don't need it because it's in the ceiling here, basically. Okay, because then we can do somewhere out here. I should have a decent pair of stairs, right? I got a million different types of them, including the glass stair floors, which those are broken along with the glass bridges. Catwalks have that funky purple color, but that. Aside from the fact that it needs to have a selection on it so I can pick one or the other. It's backwards. You should be over there. Would have been so nice if they had a menu system or blocks figured out from day one. For space engineers, wouldn't it? And we wouldn't have had things like mods showing up that now need to have each individual block selected. Like, we drop down out of that, and on the right here, of course, we've got the wall itself, which is why I flip those around. And let's do... Actually, no, I should probably just stick with the basics here. Just to get a bit more of a texture built up. Just let me, because keen. About there, and kind of use our ramps. That's supporting structure. That's going to be in the wall. That will probably be about as far out as I can have something like this. Because then we're just going to have to start rounding up, and when we come into the wrap into the sides and everything. Could also use armor plate here. And that would almost be tempting, but no. What we need is half block. So we can break up that pattern on the side and come back out. So we kind of meet the angle and jump back out of it there. Downside being this block does not have that many textures for it, which is even funnier because they replaced the texture with something completely different from what the preview shows. I really do like that. So you think you're getting one thing and you get something completely different. That now can I can't. That's not going to work. Welcome to the trial and error portion of the stream, where Farrell tries to figure out whether he can actually do what he wants to do or not. Because that's really the extent it has to go out in order to wrap under it. And if I'm going to do that, I'm switching these over to angle blocks. Because that will definitely look much better if I do something as simple as yoink. Yoink. Oh! Timber! It's okay. Didn't need that part anyways. Part was optional. Oh, come on, game. Must we put all of our controls so close together? Like, you know, easy to get a nice line dragged out right next to each other? That's my fault. That's not Keen's fault. See, I am perfectly willing to take the fault where it is entirely mine. So now how do I want to handle that? Because that's not good anymore, and that's going to look wonky as all hell. And same thing with these. Okay, so we're just going to redesign all of this on the fly. Gotcha, Farrell. Got your back on this one. You leave that. See, I kind of like that idea as a bit of a keel liner there, but it sticks out like a sore thumb because of these stupid little edges on those things. Collision box is off. The collision box is off on half the stuff in the game at this point now, unfortunately. I think I'm gonna do, yeah, it's just gonna look weird if I don't do this, and I really do kind of want to have it, especially with that block there that ties in. Yeah, because now I can tie in that again. All those spots there. That, and I just only to stop those lines. Ugh. Keen. Give us an option for that. I really do have to kind of wonder how much rendering and math has to go into that that little detail of this edge, just rendering just patched past the edge of the block. I mean, granted, it's not like the bolt really sticks out here, but there's got to be a cost to that. So we have that, and then I think clearly what we need. I don't know if I have the mods. Yes, I do. I do have the. Oh, thank you, past me for putting that on there. The 3x1 windows, because this needs to be viewable through the long way. The problem is, which way's the? Yeah, oh, that's right. This is old glass, or possibly no glass. Okay, you do have a collision box. It'll look a little weird is the problem. It's a little too see-through compared to glass in the game now because of the texture change they did. Oh, what more can I do to help this out? Yeah, and don't even get me started on glass elevators. Those are just horribly broken the last time I tried them. Windows. What do I have? None of these are going to render right, unfortunately. That one's not going to render right. And Keen haven't bothered to give us a nice 2x3 tilted. So the best I guess I'm going to be able to do is a 1x2 slope. Eh. It is what it is. What can I do? Let's see what it looks like if I start proper setup here. Which I think is going to have to start with that block. Just in that location. Pull it up with that, and then awkward moment because Keen haven't bothered to give us a block that works for this situation. Alright, let's see if I can find something that might work in the toy box here. It's like rooting through the Legos, trying to find that one piece that fits the, you're trying to, what you need at the moment, basically. Two by one, that's a 1 by 1. That work. It's the weird funky shape. I have yet to find a use for this actual block, amusingly enough. That's a tough one. Oh, that's not gonna work. Problem is, armor ramps was made before the half blocks were in the game, so there's not much you can really do about it. So I guess all I can really do is just continue over like so. Back down here, let's also get those ceiling lights back in. Now they'll actually light something up for us. Space do we have up here? Enough for... let's see. Well, they're in control of traffic, so it would stand to say that primary controller stations are going to be out where they have a view. Figure out what else is going to be in here. Oh, come on. Just off to the side, we'll use some consoles. Just to give it a little bit of extra decoration, so maybe that's like a backup station, basically, to these guys here. Or do I need see-through? The problem is I can get a nice see-through display with these guys, but I don't really want to get too fixated on the consoles there. I guess I'm looking for is... do I have that on here? All the 20 million azimuth things, but not that, apparently. Oh, hang on, before I... Oh, that's interesting. So they fixed... oh, no, that's right. The large grid version always did have that option on them. You can actually see the bits and pieces inside of it, which is always kind of a nice little touch. Versus just the tunnel of randomly digging arms. Or, I should say, very sharp-looking pieces of metal. I don't know if I would exactly want those flying around at high speed. Have anything else suitable for... like I said, no one's really done that many cockpit or console setups. Kind of is a shame, because the game really does need a couple more options. Such is... do that to take up a little bit of detail space there. Where are we at? Plenty of lighting courtesy of these. What I would really like to see is this be see-through and that still be a control panel, because that makes a little more sense. You're not going to be able to really see much from... wow, that's a... so I'll try to get the camera. Work with me here. Okay, you're not gonna do it. All right, bring over the spectator camera. I want to see how far off the sitting animation is on this. Oh yeah, like, oh hey, where'd my jetpack go? It's, weird spot. Or is that actually a... I've never actually looked at this part of the engine. Wait a minute. So you're telling me that the space engineers, when they sit in the game, remove the jetpack off of their backpack and place it in the small of the back. Oh, OSHA's gonna have a field day with that. Yep, and the arms are nowhere near the joysticks. Yes, this is way before they fixed or they changed the seating angles. Good grief. Hey, Luke. And let me actually, I'm probably missing all sorts of stuff because I'm not running. Problem with YouTube chat, for anyone interested in knowing, is when you start a stream event on YouTube, YouTube says, no, you only want to see the top chatters. Well, for probably about 70% of YouTube, you really want to see all chat. Because you could be missing God knows what. People get, start to get really chatty and everything, then, well, I kind of need to be able to actually see what people are talking about and not just the top chat. Alright, we have that. Let's get our... This is going to be a tricky junction here. So I need to hang the windows off of an edge, which means I need to bring this forward one more shot. And again, because Keen have not invented a block that actually works here, I have to compromise a little bit. Let's see if off using... Actually, yeah, I probably should just wrap it around like this. Except it's not going to give me a good seal on... I can always start that transition back there. Problem is, if I start the transition one out, there's going to be a tiny little gap. Let's see if I can show you here. It's also going to be very picky about letting me do this because there's no block there to put it on, even though I can... let's do... simulate it just well enough. And I should be able to do that without losing the block. Yeah, that's not going to work very well at all for that edge. That. Yes, get rid of that. And need to... How do I transition over to this shape? I mean, it's that, but more... Keen. Give us interesting things, and then they don't work out too well sometimes. The problem I'm having is the transition that I need to make is not very smooth for this area. But because of the angle I've got back off here, there's no way to transition it over to that spot there. Yeah, I know I can, Biggle Bear. The problem is the chat by default, every time you start a stream in YouTube, is top chat. It won't honor or acknowledge that, oh, hey, I've selected in the last streams I was in, I would like to see just the, all chat. And no, it's going to change it over, and you have no idea it's actually done that. Unless you remember to, and then halfway through the stream, like I just did, you switch it back over to show all chat. I'm looking at needing Keen, we need compound blocks. You guys have done it in Medieval Engineers, and it's been in there for quite some time. It really is about time. There's a spot right here. I want to see one of these corner lights. That needs to be right at the mid-block section there, and I can't. It looks like there could even be something there, but you can't. Which is a shame, because that would look pretty darn cool there. Alright, I'm going to continue this armor line. I need to pull that block out. I think that's as far as I'm going to run that hull line. Come on, Farrell, stop rotating it. It's so rotation happy sometimes. Spin the block. Whee! Yeah, great, this is not ideal from a traffic control standpoint because these guys can see jack all on the sides of this thing, unfortunately. But I'm not even going to try to guess whether Keen is actually giving us proper windows for that particular view. Got that, and that would be the height of the ceiling there. To avoid having a massive roof on the top of this thing, let's just go with armor panels. I absolutely love these things for when you absolutely want to finish off something and not have it look like it's massively over-engineered or thick. Out. Take these out too because I'm going to have another block running, a window edge running right up to the very tip there. It's going to come up a bit. And I'm running these. Perfect. To actually have... No, you're not even giving me any options on that one. Oh, that's nice. Oh. Get away with using this for an accent. Give it a little bit of a stripe like so. It's like half slab, but not half slab almost. And that gives it a bit of an appearance of an I-beam. Or not I-beam, just more structural support. It's nice having a piece that fits together in a non-standard way like that, too. Yeah, probably. Not the 2x2.1. I already used the 2x2.1. Need the smaller size 2x1x1. There we go. I'm gonna figure out the back end detail there for where it actually meets the building. You see, even with the radar running still down there, and me just plopping more grids in the world, still doing a 1.0 sim speed. Everything looks hunky-dory until you consider the fact that Keen stole my grids. Hit them at the very least. I love to know what is actually causing that particular problem. It's kind of a weird bug to have. Especially when the game is letting me place other things in that location right now. That's even more bizarre. Let's do will fit right in. Do our last little block here. Alright guys, what are you thinking of this so far? Because I'm kind of at the point where I want to start figuring out lighting, actually just lighting in general stuff with this. Kind of right now, actually, so I can not have to walk around with a suit light on all the time. It really is a lovely view from up here, too. It's perfect. Right down onto traffic coming in. And the road, I think, is going to just come straight out over to here as well. Let's see. Kind of works, kind of doesn't. Don't know if... Oh, yeah, it will. This is the other great thing about these stairs. What was I just saying about compound blocks and space engineers? Booyah. I'm surprised this is not clanging out right now. And I'm sure if I retracted and re-rolled the stairs out, it probably would. And it could even... For all I know, it could do that on save, too. Which actually, let's see what happens. Okay, Keen, you've got a double-place grid in this world down there. And you let me just save the game on top of itself, and you just refused to the other day. What is going on with the consistency there? Or lack thereof? Or maybe one could argue that is consistency. Who knows? Spongy, I have never played Roblox. Just not something I've actually had on my radar for some reason. For the time being, let's drag you up to there. I'm gonna do something more with the roof line here. I mean, unfortunately, there's no... Actually... Aha, we do. Forgot about that. I completely forgot about that lovely little thing, so I can hide some of the ugliness of the in-game armor here. I mean, let's be honest, it is not exactly all that appealing, right? The ones... There's just times where you kind of do have to say, yeah, can I just please not have that? And I should really get the... unfortunately, I actually do want that grudginess, the armor in some places here on this world, but... Probably be a bad idea to load up the clean armor setup and just see what it looks like. Now I'm remembering what this is reminding me of. Building a giant rover cockpit. It's a very big rover cockpit, but that is what it looks like nonetheless. Textures on the inside are just interesting enough. Hey, Figure Gaming. How's it going? I am here in the underground, my massive underground base, which is currently suffering from keen subsidence on the other side of it. And I'm down here building a little bit of a control tower and kind of working on transforming this end of the base, which was previously just wrecked, or was originally wrecked. It's supposed to be a wrecked control center for the base, and just making something brand new that I think is going to fit the world a lot better here. Yeah, it's the Super Mega Rover coming out of the wall, Kool-Aid Man style. Oh yeah! Oh no! Yeah, just kind of... Actually, what would really be funny, if anything, what this is this should be the cockpit for the machine that drilled all of this out. And what the company that mined this all out did was just basically brought it back over and mounted it, you know, stuffed animal style above the main shipping lane in and out. That's what that should really be. Yeah, I'm looking at that. Let's pare that back a little bit. And thinking I need to have something anchoring this further up into the ceiling. Now, do I still have... Actually, I guess what I've got now is actually better than what I originally had. The maintenance tunnels should take care of this pretty nicely. Really? Okay, fine. You do you, game. Can you give me any sort of tunnel that is going to work, please? I don't care what type it is, because I'm worried about slowing down the server if I pick something that is clearly for cargo. Okay, and... Ooh, but... Stupid game, come on. I'm not going to be able to not have that fixed. That would just grate on my consciousness, at least for the rest of the night until I got that done. So now I've kind of got a little bit of a suspension to it. Could I give a tour? Yeah, just a little bit of one. Unfortunately, it's kind of wrecked because actually, if I'm going to give a tour, let's do something a little more appropriate. Find my entity list and find... let's see. No, I left those there. It's up there. Do I still have... I can't remember if I went through and cleaned that up or not. So all the static grids are stuff that are in the whatchamacallit. Aha! You may recognize a little something there. Yeah, this world is the group survival map. I couldn't help myself. It's all here. I haven't. Still have to find out where the grids are. I think I know I went through and did a lot of trash cleanup at one point, and just kind of took. Like there's a like recording camera spot where you could basically, well, it's recording blind almost, where you could kind of sit and had your character there. You could operate the camera. You could go in spectator and whatnot. The spot I'm looking for, and bear with me because I'm having to do this from memory. There was a whole thing planned for this world, and right over there, suit. Barrel, you dolt! You have a spectator camera. Use it. Let's see. And still trying to get used to everything that has been done here. It's going to be one of the Hugamies. Ah, there we go. Teleport here. Now why did I just do teleport here? Best part is I'm pretty sure I'm in the planet from this angle. Yeah, I've now teleported myself into the planet. You might actually recognize this scene from the holiday camera. The little keen bouncy ball music episode or video that I did back around the holidays, such as it is. It really does look that much better when you've got the artificial snow falling. The idea was with this map was that I was going to do a group survival style experience on here with the janitor off of the Constitution, the guy that nobody saw, because like all good janitors, no one really wants to really think about him all that much except when they need him to clean something up. So the idea was that this would be a tiny little mining ship that was docked under the PAX Constitution, because there is room for one. It comes with one in the blueprint. They did remove it for the series, but there's just enough room there that you can kind of hide this thing in there. This is kind of an intermediary stage on where I would have been with the series, where you know the ship I came down in is very clearly damaged, but this is the idea was everything I need is on this ship. So you can see I've got the small ship mod pack installed, or the mega mod pack for small ships. So I've got the refinery on here, I've got an assembler on here, I've got everything I need to do very basic survival and build up. And that didn't really pan out, and it's one of those things that's like, okay, it's a great idea, but yeah, it's not really working out all that well. So this is what could have eventually been for, come on, settle down, for survival shells. So just a very basic, you know, no frills, it works for what it does type thing setup here. Even with the you know, spot where I could have my suit. And that is the proper suit color for once. You know, little bathroom facilities that would have been in here that for some reason the toilet's gone on. Don't know why. And then of course the hangar itself and whatnot. So that was the idea, and the whole thing was you could tie it into the group survival universe and basically run a completely separate storyline and not touch the group survival main storyline. And it's always kind of the case of, oh, well, maybe he just happens to see something by the time he gets there, there's no one there, type stuff. But then the whole idea was there was going to be something that would bring me over to... Where am I facing here? Up, down, no, down. Right? Okay. That's the right direction. There would be something that would bring me over to this general area. That's some lovely, Keen? That's not the proper LOD for this area, and you know it. Anyways, there'd be something that would lure the character over to this area. This is where there is supposed to be a very big shaft. Of course, the game is not cooperating, so I have to... It's supposed to be here. Really, it is. There's a tunnel in here that I'm actually walking through right now. This whole area of the map was finished off, and in the latest snapshot, apparently Keen did something that is causing the game to now remove everything by default. So you would come down into here, where there's a tunnel that you guys can't see. That would bring you over to... Wow, look at how badly it is butchering the LOD down here right now. This is ridiculous. So you'd fly down here, and this was all going to be an underground ruined base, kind of similar to the theme of what the General B ran into. And Beef Keen, really? I just want to do a simple little tour and actually see ground where it's supposed to be. Can you manage that, please? Anyways, when it's rendering right, look at this. Yep, that's Space Engineers for it. Let's see if I can maybe trigger it by popping out to the Constitution and back. Teleport here. Thank you, game. Maybe you can figure that out. So yeah, the Connie's in orbit, and that's the whole idea, is this little mining ship, and that's the naming collar for it would have been down here, and because of the angles that they shot the Constitution at for the series, you can't really see. Get this in and locked. From all the shots that were done in the series, you can't really see that there's anything down there. Which is pretty darn sweet, because you've got it nicely hidden. You see the beacon waypoints there for it, but that's it. And all of the various shots, like that you can see on the series, like this one when the ship was starting to break up, you can't see it. So the whole premise would have been, okay, you know, the janitor is sick of hearing Morph and Wasted fighting with each other, so he has come out to the shuttle for a bit of peace and quiet, and they nap when they jump. And of course everything goes wrong, and yada yada yada. That was the thought. The question is, what's going to happen when I try to go back down to the planet? I may be at a point where I have to do a quick reload here. Because it is... You're quite up to it there, are you? Oh, that's just a freaky look at it. It likes to set me up underground, upside down. Anytime I come around here. Yeah. I'm at a point where I'm going to have to reload the map because that clearly was just absolutely too much to expect of the game to properly render its ground textures in. And now everything is gone horribly pear-shaped. Not sure how I'm standing here though, because this should be in a wall. But it's not. But yeah, the whole idea was this was going to be a wrecked underground base, and after I got working on it long enough, I kind of said, actually, this would be a pretty cool thing to see perfectly intact, and also because it's a lot easier to wreck something when you have it built instead of trying to build it and then wrecking it. It's kind of useful because you can see some of the stuff that I've had to do behind the scenes, so the little shapes that were over here that made it look like there are tanks further in, yeah, that's actually Atmo thrusters. These are actual thrusters in the wall over there, just like the texturing they did, and these are normally hidden by rocks. Block damage is off, so that's why they are perfectly content to be there. This goes nowhere, does nothing. Just a door there. That's all normally behind, you know, rock right there. Same thing with that. The whole idea was to come over here, find it all wrecked, and find some Type 3 drones and whatnot that are trying to attack the player, who has kitted up the mining drone that he's got with a basic combat loadout, so at least have a fighting chance. But basically get in, get over to this area where he would have been able to land. And this is where you've seen me do some, on my channel, there's some test animation shots from over in this area, which kind of outlined while I was making sure that I could actually say run from point A to point B, so I could actually go up the ladder. Yep, there's a big gap there, but I don't have to worry about that because I can come around behind the paneling here and find another way up. And get up to here. Jump to that. Jump to there. Can you tell I've had to do this run one too many times? Jump to here. Be careful doing it because of the jump mechanics. Game. Like to do weird things. Oh dear, this is a very high height. Now it doesn't look quite so bad because there's actually some down there, but... And then prior to tonight, there was a wrecked control tower up here. Oh, that's now been completely scrapped, and I have started working on this instead. Actually, I guess what I could do before I put this into reload, I did say I wanted to kind of figure out lighting here a little bit. That's going to be a tricky thing, because I might be able to fit something. Let's see what this is going to look like on the outside, unfortunately. Just that and that. Should really have this mirrored so I can actually see quite a bit better. And Hero Lighting 101. Maximum radius, maximum fall off, drop the intensity to 0.5. That is my favorite light setting because that gives me something that is just a little bit offset. And then because I want to simulate LED light into a certain point, kind of drag down just a little bit so it's got that slightly blue tip to the light. What I find is when you don't have Keen's ridiculous bloom settings interfering with everything, kind of get a pretty decent, you know, it's kind of a light that gets everywhere almost. It's a little weird with the ceiling lights and the reflections there, but let's see how it looks actually from the outside. And you can't really see much of the interior lights there, but you can see these exterior ones are getting a pretty nice, like a little back glow actually. to do is see if I can accent that a little bit. We'll have some corner lights here. LOD, we don't need LOD. We can keep placing blocks all we want, man. Hey, Archangel. Let's see. No, it's not so much that it didn't work out, but honestly that I started writing out the plot for it and everything, and it was, like I said, the whole approach to it was that I wanted to try to keep the character out of the group survival experience, but keep him in it, and it's very hard to do that consistently and do it in a way that's just not like ridiculously badly written too. And I mean that there's also a bit of respect in that too, because you never know, they very well could pick up group survival again. I mean, that is certainly that everyone on the team there has just, expressed an opinion that it'd be nice to actually get back and do some more with it. Hopefully as things are stabilizing out, it seems, for everyone. So, I don't want to kind of step on toes and everything and feel like I'm doing something that, is going to interfere with what the plot is, or worse, that you feel like, okay, now I've created something completely wrong and not really true to the vision and everything. Do I want to try a spot here instead? I mean, it's kind of hard to tell because I don't have the rock face there, and that's throwing things off. Tell you what, let's go ahead and do a quick reload then. And I might need to figure out... Well, actually, no, I'm actually okay with that poking through the ceiling there. It's giving me that light effect on the columns now, too. But let's see. Come here, game. You're gonna let me save it because you're not going to call a save error on this world, right? All right, reloading that. I really hope Keen finds some way to fix these LOD issues. I mean, if this were Minecraft, you'd just be going out and you'd just be hitting F3, I think what it is, F3A to load all the chunks again. Why they don't have that functionality built into the game to be able to say, hey, can I load an area, a square area 200 or in all directions around me type setup. You kind of think that would be pretty useful to have for situations like this. But I guess it must have something to do with how they're loading up and doing all the voxels and everything. The other thing I'd like to see them fix is this. This is something that has become more and more of a problem over the last few weeks, and definitely is part of the reason why I'm having problems joining the uncooperative server world so many times, because the mod loading just halts. And in that halt, the game says, no, the server's changed, you're not allowed in. So, yeah, I'd like to see that get fixed, Keen. Or Steam, or Scheme, take your pick. Oh, sorry. Bear with me here, guys. It has been a long week. Monday I was up until 1 a.m. Tuesday I was up until... No, not Monday I was up till 1 a.m. Sunday I was up till 1 a.m. My week is so screwed up, I don't even know what day it is anymore. It feels like it's Friday for me, which is really messing with my head. Sunday I was up till 1 a.m. because I had to be up till 5 a.m. on Monday. So that kind of got me able to actually last that long, barely. But because I'm a night owl. I will stay up until all hours of the morning doing stuff, and waking up in the morning is never fun for me, so... I kind of adjusted my sleep schedule. I overslept on Saturday, got half my normal sleep on Sunday. Monday to Tuesday morning was up till 5 a.m. Had all of Wednesday or Tuesday off to compensate, but your body just does weird things at that point. So I got sleep, but it wasn't restful sleep, and now it's just been a fight to try to get back to my normal sleeping schedule. And now I have tomorrow off. because I took the day off for the weekend. Come on, game. Gonna give me a shot here. Textures. There's some textures. The other interesting thing to note is you'll also note because of the LOD issue apparently impacts lighting underground too. Which I did not know that, because you could see how it was so dark in here earlier, and now, I mean, that's my suit light turning on and off. But now everything is hunky-dory as far as lighting goes. Oh. Should really just load Space Got Real and just call it at that point for lighting. So lighting in this space is kind of handling itself nicely now. Still want to get a couple spots on here though. I want to see. Okay, yeah. Well, look, it is Friday. Yeah, it is Friday for some. Well, actually, yeah, it is Friday for me as well. It's wow. It was almost 1 o'clock in the morning. Case in point about sleeping habits and the night owl tendencies. See, I'm probably going to be looking to wrap this up at some point. Not now, but I definitely do want to try to actually get some sleep tonight. Or today, or whatever you want to call it at this point. A little bit of a... Yeah, that actually looks pretty good. Don't really need anything lighting it out further than that. It really does kind of feel like I've embedded a cockpit in the wall here. One that's been kind of cut off. Let's look at that. Thinking we've got the arch supports there. Need to do something more with those, and that is probably. Done. It's a completely different color. Let's change these around a little bit. This should help lessen the make the paneling on the ramp stick out a little less from the the wing bottom. The wing parts. There's the word I'm thinking of, Farrell. And we want to continue this. Oh yeah, that's because it's a stupid. Get rid of that. Had an alert light on there, and it was blinking on and off, and I was catching that out the corner of my eye. It's like, no, no, no. What's blinking over there? I fixed everything that was on fire on this map that I set on fire. Paralleling it. It's going parallel to it very nicely here. Now it feels like I need that now. What I need is let's try curving this around a little bit now. What I'm thinking is possibly ditching the columns there, because I mean it works, but it's not 100% perfect. Let's see if I can go with something that will link up a little better here. The other reason for also streaming tonight, like I said at the start of the stream, is I have only just today finished rebuilding the majority of the rig I'm using to record on. And with all of the changes that happened, I need to make sure that everything actually is working properly, aka the volumes are good, the recording software is recording, that the game is not going to do a hard lock like it has been doing over the last few PvP streams. So far, knock on wood, it seems like it's behaving itself at least. One can only hope over and... yeah, just give it a bit of a weird little arch. And what I can do is incorporate the cargo tubes into that. So what I'll do is, instead of doing this, all that effort I made to get that one little cargo tube in there goes right out the window. Now I only need one. This cargo. I'd really like to just see. Technically, this shouldn't cause massive amounts of lag or anything because it's already part of the. It's not connected to anything, really. But, I mean, it'll still cause some lag, I would assume. Massive amounts of it. Welcome to college life. We do that as well. Oh, no, when I was in college, there were 48 and 72-hour weekends that I did. In fact, there was one point where I had a very long 72-hour session, and I don't remember much of what happened. And it was not from drinking. It was very much I was awake for so long, just zoned out gaming, that I really did not pay attention to anything I was doing. Then you hit the real world when you get out of college, and yeah, things get wonky there. If you're thinking, oh yeah, and then I'll get the real, don't have morning classes while I'm in college and I can sleep in, and yeah, you're in for a bit of a rude awakening when you get out into the real world, and that job that you've got requires you to be at work at 7:30, and you've got to leave at 6 o'clock to get there because of traffic, and yeah. Enjoy it while it lasts. That's all I can say. Oh, and I still gotta fix those Steam notifications. Thank you. I don't need to know everyone's playing things. I know people are playing things. It's Steam. That's what people do, is they play games on Steam. Don't know if you've realized this, Valve, but, that is something. Should be lined up right. Oh, yeah. I didn't even have to check it originally. Nice. Okay, so we've given a little bit of... Nope, need something more. Need something like... Can we just please have an actual scaffold block? I shouldn't have to... Alright. Drop it down. The only use for basic rubble grinder. There we go. Seen me do this on PvP. There's a reason why I'm doing that, because the block lag is usually bad enough that the last thing I want to do is try to hold it down till it goes, because I know I'll destroy a block. I'm only trying to get components off of it. A bit more of a tenuous connection to that, which I'm okay with. And what we can do is... It's got the nav lights on it. Just do that. Then what we'll do is turn those red so that way they stick out a little bit and give me a little more dash of color here. Okay, just use console, please. Dash of red. Red and orange. Enough. This one I'm probably going to come back and do fine tweaking on because that's not ideal. Actually, no, that does... It's actually not too bad. Really need to get the modest decay reinstalled so I can load the world up. Normally when I'm down here filming anything serious, I have it loaded in the modest decay and I've got the ambient light turned off. So usually it's not this bright down here, unfortunately, because Keen, it's perfectly visible even though I'm completely underground in the dark, even though the game supposedly has that realistic ambient lighting condition. It's so funny what they've decided to work on trying to do and the things that they actually pull off. What I'm going to do is add a little bit of more meat to the potato here. Store edge. Let's give... A lot of the colors down here are really muted, so I like to try to give a little bit of an accent to everything. Something more. It still needs... what it needs is lighting on the roof proper. Lighting on the roof proper and a little bit of color. Any difference of the color? Okay, yeah, that is. Okay, that's the light blue. Or the egg, not the eggshell blue, not the duck egg blue. It is a blue! That's all I can think of at this point. That won't throw things too far off here, and then what I should be able to do is that. Okay, that works. So we've kind of got the auditorium hall-like thing here. Yeah, don't worry about it. I mean, at this point, honestly, I suspect... Well, I mean, let's be honest. If there's not some sort of cross-pollution going on from what people are even just saying in chat, then, yeah, it's all kind of water over the dam at this point. I suspect hopefully things are going to be tying up pretty soon, that we can kind of start things anew, because, yeah, it really is kind of a pain to not be able to watch all of the POVs right now. Because there's definitely got to be some interesting stuff going on. But too bad. And that would just leave this. I'm wondering if... Let's go back to all black here. And see if I can get a little creative with the angle here, but not with a 3x1. I need a 2x1. Not those 2x1s. Oh, I can indeed. Can I get the right ones I need? Probably not. Because what we're really talking about is... the ramps are so hard to work with sometimes. They're absolutely gorgeous, but if you don't have the piece you're thinking of, it's very hard to actually find it. So what I need is... Oh. Get up with that. Instead, yes, no, no. That's definitely not going to work. I don't need 2 by. I need... That might be it, actually. Kind of it, I guess. So this one has the complementary block in proximity to it. Actually, no, it's not going that way. Darn it. Need to transition it, but that one block that I had, not this one, nope. That one. Come back all the way over to here. Nope, that is your... I need it to come from the back here along that line, but then out towards the edge of the block out here. That's the piece I'm actually looking for. Fortunately, the 3x3s aren't going to do it. So this would be the ideal shape, but it needs to... Wow, I really have found some weird angles that I do that I'm not going to find a piece for. I was kind of thinking about drawing over this spar to kind of line up and meet up here with it. It's going to happen right now. What I might do, though, is go another route here. Because I can... that. There's a reason for my madness here. As you're going to see that in just a second. Oh, come on. Oh, you want to give me those blocks to work with, right? Text on screen. Oh, come on. Really? Might be able to work around that. Because that looks like a pretty good overhead light. Aha! I can make it work. Same thing over here. Probably don't have to do show text on screen, but I'm going to do it just in case I ever do come back and try to load something on this. I could go in and like go over to Whip's image converter and try to put in like a lighting texture onto that. It won't show it properly, but it would still look pretty cool. Panels. Brightness up. Let's look for those corners. And remembering Farrell's rule of thumb, blast it all, but then put the intensity nice low. So let's turn this off so I don't have to worry about those anytime soon. Okay, that actually gives it a kind of a nice little high-tech look. But I need to do something about the exterior, and that I'm actually working with. Thank you, armor panels. Are exactly what the doctor called for. Yeah, like it's the fun things. The reason why I've got the 70 mods on this world, it's not because of any of the stuff I built. I love playing around with getting stuff just working the way that you would not really ever use it, because you can do some really cool stuff like the wing flat edge. I can go over here and we've got these corner blocks up here, but that kind of looks a little wonky right now with them just kind of hanging out like that. Boom. now they've got an outside cover. We've got pattern that I can also now play around with the armor panels and everything. So I can come over to this one and say, do that. So now I'm giving my light more detail. And yeah, it's potentially putting load on the world because obviously I'm playing around with the wing part, but you know, it looks cool. And I don't even have to keep it like this. I can even go to the point of, let's see, what color do I want to try here? Because not everything should necessarily even be one fixed color. I can give it a little bit of an accent here. This is why I hate it when they do things like the screenshot contest and they say, oh no, everything must adhere to Mark's vision for the game. And that just stifles their creativity. It means you're not doing fun stuff like this sort of setup here. So now I got a little bit of a street light there, and just enough of the light is getting back off of that over to this surface here that when I back away from it, you can just kind of see it. If you're down on the ground looking at that, that looks pretty good to me. I'm pretty happy with that. I don't know if I'll necessarily mirror that over here. I can actually kind of see this wrapping around into the structure in that direction, whatever it's going to be. There, I don't really see it because I think the spar is going to continue more in that direction, whereas I don't want to have this huge horizontal bar running across the top back. So I can kind of see that spar actually spurring off and becoming a walkway there. The other problem is I've also got to figure out a way to build something nice for getting up from the ground level here up to there, and that's... Elevators aside, that's going to be tricky. I really don't want to try to use an elevator on this world. But there we go. Door frame and a bit of a monitoring center for incoming and outgoing traffic control center. It's not perfect because obviously I haven't finished up this side. But it certainly has, and well, that, and there's absolutely nothing behind here right now. But hey, I've got a nice big door. I've got a cool looking wall setup here. I mean, I like how that's gonna... That gives me something other than all of just the plain, you know, little details. I could have gone passage mod here and done a double wide door, and now I don't. I've kind of spread out the mods I've got. The only thing that's still bugging me though is that right side. It feels like it needs something more here. It's just kind of too meh. Be great. You know, like a window, there's not going to be much of a view up because the supports are going to potentially be blocking it. Which, in case, what I should probably also do is let's try this out real quick. 3. Well, if this is going to work well, or if it's going to look ugly as heck. Or if it's going to stick out too far being 3x3, but... Okay, and yeah, now my rotation commands are all the wrong direction now. Thank you, Keen. Silly game, silly game. That's a long support spar. I might have to let that one kind of sit there. Maybe see what it's going to look like as I build more out around this. I mean, it does kind of make sense. I mean, right now, from a support standpoint, this is supporting the main little beam here. which is probably going to have catwalks in between these sections. This has got an anchor back into the wall for the main section. It's got this piece holding it up front, but most of the load-bearing weight would be on that column. This wouldn't really be bearing too much. Be distributing a little bit of the weight off to the sides, but not a heck of a lot. I don't know. We'll have to play around with it, see what it looks like. And I think that is probably going to be something best left for next time. Because, like I said, I really did want to make up for the fact that I didn't have, you know, my full normal stream today. And I kind of hoped that I'd be able to start off by actually having the entryway back in place, but apparently that is going to be hideously wonky and something that I should probably avoid for the near future. Lest another update to the game, Keen, resolve the issue with the grid that I'm apparently not seeing. Hopefully that will be fixed soon, because I would really like to get that properly done. But there it is. I'm finally getting some progress down on this end of it, and I think that really starts to sell it now when I get like down to here. Not there, maybe. I'm trying to find a good angle to get the screenshot at here. Just kind of thinking off to the side a little bit, hide the wrecks that are back there that I haven't cleaned up yet. So we're not really focusing on anything good there either. F11 screen off. And just get rid of the crosshair until tomorrow. It's definitely going to need it again. Screenshot. Thank you, Keen. That much is apparently working today. Alright guys, I'm going to go ahead and call the stream there. Like I said, tomorrow, keep an eye out on Wasted Space channel. We will be having the PvP match there, so you can catch not only my POV with the red team, but also Wasted's POV with the green team, and Bowman or whoever will be there for the blue team. Also, I am trying to keep up a regular stream schedule on Monday. Content may vary. I am probably gonna be picking up BattleTech in a little while, because they have been doing some talking about what they're doing in upcoming patches, and they also had a very recent patch. One of them finally being that they've resolved the or put in the controls to bypass the initial starting mission. So I may take advantage of that and start the campaign back up again and really try to sock it to me on difficulty. As scary as that thought is. So, yep, there's Monday. Then, of course, there's also the Saturday Uncooperative Survival stream with me, Textfire, and Wasted Space over on Wasted's channel. And again, you'll be able to check Tex and my POVs as part of that stream as well. And, yeah, until then, I will catch you guys later. Remember to hit that like button if you like what you've seen so far. If you don't like what I'm doing, do hit the dislike button, but do hit me up in the comments. Let me know what I can do to improve. Especially after tonight, because like I said, everything has gotten reset on this end. So volumes, game volume, music volume, my volume, everything's kind of up in the air right now, and I would really dearly love to have that kind of settled back down to where it should be as soon as possible. So until then, I will catch you guys later. Thanks for watching. See if I can go to OBS without moving the camera.